Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Flight 482 from New York to Los Angeles was already packed with passengers weary from a long day at work. Among them was Marcus Johnson, a black man in his 40s, smart in his charcoal suit, looking calm but attentive. He was quietly reading a report on his latest innovations for Technova, his technology company, unaware that this trip was about to turn into a nightmare. A few rows away, Emily Carter, a flight attendant for over 10 years, was preparing for the service. Emily was known for her meticulousness, but also for her arrogance and quick judgment. Her colleagues sometimes whispered that she could be cold, but she didn't care. That day, something about Marcus's composed demeanor immediately irritated her. Perhaps it was his impeccable suit, perhaps his apparent calm. Whatever the reason, Emily decided to reassert her authority. As Marcus settled in, Emily approached him with a condescending smile. "Excuse me, sir. I think you'll have to get off the plane." Marcus looked up in surprise. "Excuse me? I don't understand." "My ticket is confirmed, I went through security." Emily crossed her arms. "Rules are rules. I don't need to explain." Around them, the passengers began to murmur, sensing the injustice. Marcus, despite the tension, remained calm. "I assure you I did nothing wrong." But Emily, carried away by her arrogance and prejudices, signaled to security. Within minutes, Marcus was escorted off the plane, under the horrified gazes of those who understood the situation. His face was impassive, but his eyes shone with a restrained dignity, while Emily smiled, satisfied with her restored authority. What Emily didn't know was that this gesture would follow her everywhere. Marcus Johnson wasn't just a passenger. He was an influential, respected man, capable of turning a situation to his advantage. And what Emily thought was a victory would become a lesson she would never forget. Marcus Johnson stood outside the plane, his belongings under his arm, as security escorted him to the departure lounge. The humiliation weighed heavily on him, but he remained calm. His mind was already analyzing the situation. Every move, every word from Emily Carter, would have consequences. Around him, the passengers stared in astonishment and disapproval. Some whispered amongst themselves, others took out their phones, as if to immortalize what they considered a blatant injustice. "It's outrageous," murmured a woman sitting in the front row, visibly shaken by the scene. Marcus tried to speak to Emily, who was standing on the steps of the plane, chin raised and a condescending smile plastered on her lips. "I assure you I haven't done anything wrong," he said calmly. Emily shrugged. "It doesn't matter. You have to get off. Now." The security guards, obeying the hostess's orders, made no exceptions. Marcus put his coat back on and followed the agents, each step echoing like a public humiliation. In the lobby, he caught the eye of a few passers-by who were trying to comfort him with gestures or words. But most remained silent, intimidated by Emily's apparent authority. Marcus felt a cold anger rising within him, but he kept it to himself. This wasn't the time to let himself get carried away. For her part, Emily turned to her colleagues, satisfied. "I did what I had to do. There's no room for problems on my plane," she declared arrogantly. No one dared contradict her at that moment. But as she returned to her preparations, a fleeting thought crossed her mind: what if this man wasn't who he seemed? But Emily dismissed the idea, convinced of her superiority. She didn't yet know that this mistake would change her life forever, and that Marcus Johnson wasn't just an ordinary passenger, but a man capable of transforming this humiliation into a lesson she would never forget. The next morning, Emily Carter arrived at the airline office, still proud of herself for what she believed to be a professional intervention. But very quickly, her phone began to ring incessantly. At first, she thought they were just messages from curious colleagues. But when she answered, the deep voice of her supervisor immediately sent a shiver down her spine. "Emily, you need to come to the office immediately. There's a problem, a very serious one." Her heart beat faster. "What's the problem?" she asked, trying to hide the rising anxiety. This is about the man you removed from Flight 482 yesterday. The supervisor's voice was deep, heavy. His name is Marcus Johnson. He's the CEO of Technova. You understand? The company is one of the most influential in the technology sector. Emily felt her breath catch in her throat. She stood motionless, unable to reply. Her arrogance had been replaced by a chilling fear. Marcus Johnson, the passenger she had humiliated, was not a stranger. She remembered his unwavering calm, his unshakable dignity as she escorted him off the plane. And now she realized that every gesture, every word spoken, would weigh heavily on her. The media were already starting to take notice, and the airline was receiving angry and concerned messages. Emily rushed to the office, where her supervisor was waiting for her, his face grim. Emily, your behavior has put the company in a difficult position. Marcus Johnson is demanding a public apology. And believe me, he's not kidding. The memories of the plane came flooding back, the shocked passengers, the indignant murmurs, and above all, Marcus's impressive composure. A profound shame washed over her. Every arrogant action she had taken now came back to haunt her like a painful boomerang. That day, Emily understood that her career could be forever changed by a single impulsive act, and that Marcus's respect and dignity would transform this humiliation into a public lesson. She had just touched the first thread of karma. Emily Carter stood in the boardroom, her hands trembling slightly, as Marcus Johnson entered, calm but imposing. His dark eyes shone with natural authority, and every movement reflected his confidence. Emily immediately felt tiny in his presence. "Hello, Emily," Marcus said in a firm but calm voice. "I think we need to talk about what happened yesterday." Emily opened her mouth to defend herself, but no words came out. She knew her justifications would sound hollow to the man she had publicly humiliated. "You decided, without any valid reason, to remove me from a flight I had paid for and for which I was perfectly in compliance," Marcus continued. "Your actions have not only damaged my dignity, but they have also put your company in a very embarrassing situation." Emily lowered her eyes. Each word resonated like a thunderclap. She felt her arrogance melt away under Marcus's quiet strength. I was just thinking." She began awkwardly, but Marcus gently cut her off. "What exactly did you think? That your prejudices would never be discovered? That humiliating someone based on the color of their skin would cost you nothing?" The silence hung heavy in the room. Emily felt a shiver of dread. She had just found herself face to face with a man whose composure was more powerful than his own arrogance. She realized that every gesture, every decision of the previous day would now haunt her. Marcus continued, his tone more measured but implacable, "I'm not trying to ruin your career out of revenge. But I want you to understand the impact of your actions. This isn't just a lesson for you, it's a reminder to everyone who thinks gratuitous humiliation goes unnoticed." Emily nodded slowly, ashamed and deeply aware of her mistake. She had never encountered such moral authority. This moment sealed her realization: her career, her image, her respect within the airline would now depend on her ability to take responsibility for her actions and redeem herself. Marcus stood up, ready to leave, leaving Emily alone with her thoughts and a bitter sense of guilt. This confrontation had marked a turning point. Emily had just hit rock bottom in her own arrogance, and redemption would be neither easy nor quick. A few weeks after the incident, Emily Carter's life had completely changed. The airline, under pressure from the media and Marcus Johnson, had taken strict disciplinary action. Emily had been removed from flight duty and assigned to administrative tasks with no contact with passengers. The reputation she had carefully built over 10 years was crumbling like sand. Everywhere she went, she heard whispers or read articles about the incident. Social media wouldn't leave her alone. Screenshots of Marcus's dismissal circulated, accompanied by comments denouncing the racism and arrogance of some employees. Emily felt a constant weight on her shoulders, a perpetual reminder of her mistake. For his part, Marcus Johnson continued his work with his usual dignity. His professional relationships and influence continued to grow, and he used the incident to raise awareness about the importance of respect and equality, but always with professionalism. His calm and patience had transformed an unjust humiliation into a powerful lesson for everyone. One day, Emily received an unexpected email. Marcus invited her to a private meeting, not for revenge, but to explain the importance of her actions and how she could learn from her mistakes. Trembling but aware of the opportunity, Emily went to the meeting. Marcus greeted her with a calm smile. "Emily, I know you weren't aware of the true impact of your actions. But now you know. You can choose to redeem yourself, to understand, and not repeat this mistake." Emily felt a wave of shame and gratitude mingling. She understood that true power did not reside in displayed authority or prejudice, but in the ability to recognize one's mistakes and learn from them. Thus, the incident that began with blatant arrogance transformed into a life lesson. Emily Carter never forgot Marcus Johnson, nor the dignity with which he faced injustice. She spent the rest of her career trying to correct his mistakes, knowing that some lessons are never forgotten. Karma, relentless but fair, had struck. And this time, Emily could only accept her defeat and hope for a future where respect and humility would finally prevail.